Hey guys, so here bringing you another video. So this has literally just dropped. Like, I went away for dinner, came back, and well, actually 4 hours ago, but I did not notice. And as soon as I saw this, I was like, I have to do a video on this because it's something that has been quite vocal in my own commentaries recently, and I think generally in the community. We don't really know what the hell Riot's doing with healing. So for those that aren't aware, again, I've not read this yet. I just saw the topic. I was like, I have to do a video on this because I like doing the quick gameplay thoughts anyway, and it's on a big topic. But basically, Riot for a while has just been a bit up and down when it comes to healing. That they do the durability update, then, which also obviously did a lot of stuff to healing. Then they nerf Grievous Wounds, but then self-healing champions are still mentally insane. Like, you can't kill them sometimes. They just did a patch about nerfing that, but then they don't touch Gore Drinker. Like, it's been a bit all over the place. And for me, one of the frustration things that I've always had, and even like is part of this article, that I've not even read it yet, but I already can tell. Why is Soraka the image? Like, I know that sounds dumb, but Riot a lot of the time will kind of target, and when people say healing, it's like Riot goes, oh, you know, we'll nerf healing, we'll nerf the enchanters. I don't remember the last time that I was genuinely like, oh my god, Soraka's insane. Like, that's not the thing that we're complaining about. Yes, I do think like Yuumi is a bit obnoxious, but that's not insane. Like, that's not her healing, it's other things that's contributing to that. It's not really the enchanters that are the problem. Seraphine had her problems, but wasn't incredibly all about healing. It's a lot of the time Riot talk about enchanters, or they nerf enchanters when people talk about healing, but the problem champions are the self-healing, a lot of the time, the self-healing AD bruisers. It's the Kanes, it's the Aatroxes. A lot of the time, the champions that buy Gore Drinker, that usually tends to be a problem. I literally have even seen Graveses recently buying Gore Drinker, being in the middle of combat, proccing Gore Drinker, and they're healing back to full health after being very low. It's nuts. That's more the issue, but that doesn't seem to be the problem that Riot tackles sometimes. So this article, to me, is hopefully going to kind of be a bit of an eye-opener of like, what are they doing? Because I have no idea what they're doing, and a lot of us have been like, I don't think they have an idea. So this is hopefully a bit of an insight to see how they're thinking. So with the healing changes that were released in patch 12.14, literally just the patch just the other day, we thought this would be a good opportunity to discuss healing in League. We've been seeing a lot of player feedback on the state of healing and Grievous Wounds recently. Why did they nerf Grievous Wounds? It makes no sense. So we'd like to share how we've been thinking about these mechanics and how we're looking to balance them moving forward. Considerations around healing mechanics. So it's one thing just to point out, healing is so strong that you have to buy anti-healing every single game, when Riot themselves has even said in the past that anti-heal should be optional. It's not optional when healing is so strong. That's the point. But anyway, simply put, satisfying healing mechanics are typically frustrating for opponents to play against. Watching an opponent burst heal through your damage, output, and survive is typically a frustrating experience. There is also sustained burst healing, which allows champions to heal seemingly indefinitely, e.g. drain tanking, so like Swain, and I would even admit I play Swain, that's too strong right now. If a drain tanking champion gets ahead, there is little room for counterplay, as they are neither burstable nor able to be killed in a long extended fight. It also reduces the quality of gameplay by creating a strong incentive to not fight. As a result, we tend to be very careful about designing champions as systems with sustained burst healing. That doesn't make any sense to me, like, at all, literally, but okay. That just contradicts what they've allowed to happen for so long, which is just weird. So, as a result, we tend to be as an output and ensure they have heavily exploitable counterplay. Oh my god, there's no counterplay to Kane in a lot of ways, and opportunities for their opponents to capitalize on. Red Kane is easier to kite, has worse target access compared to other members of his class, and is reliant on landing his spells to heal. Oh my god. So Red Kane, harder to kite. He's still more mobile than most champions in League. So yes, he's harder to kite than Blue Kane, because Blue Kane is a full assassin. But he's still more mobile than most champions in League. He can still go through walls. He still has a dash. He's still got his ult that's a partial dash as well. Pretty damn mobile. So, you know, easier to kite. Again, sure, when comparing to Blue Kane. Has worse target access compared to other members of his class. Not sure about that. And is relying on and landing his spells to heal. Pretty much every champion is reliant on hitting something to heal. So that isn't really a counterpoint of like why Kane's okay. Okay, well, that's worrying. Healing in League can also be snowbally. Healing spells are often fairly ratio and level driven to ensure that they remain at a satisfying value throughout the game. Secondly, healing can also take the form of lifesteal or Omnivamp. Again, a lot of us do think Omnivamp was a mistake. The healing has been a bigger problem since they introduced Omnivamp for sure, which directly scales with how ahead you are. Combined, these effects can result in champions that are ahead feeling unkillable due to their healing outpacing your damage. While healing can present many challenges, we still think it's a valuable and satisfying mechanic in League, and it's a cool expectation for certain champions and subclasses. Let's look at what good versions of healing gameplay can look like. The good version of healing, in my opinion, is slow sustain after a trade. That's fine, but you shouldn't be able to take a trade, do 2 to 3 auto attacks, and you're back to full health. That's not satisfying after you've just done a trade. You might have beaten a champion. So you're a non-healing champion. You're against a healing champion. You do a trade. You slightly beat them in the trade. But then you're then screwed because they're a healing champion and they heal back up to full health within no time. That is literally what they're saying here. That's frustrating. It really is. Like, there's no other way to define that. That is frustrating. You outplayed your opponent. You outtraded them. And then you're then hurt because they have better healing than you. That's not great. But and also, Enchanter supports, I'd say, is perfectly fine healing. Their whole identity is about healing others. And that's the point, healing others. They sacrifice personal strength for healing other people. Something like Aatrox or Kayn, a lot of people say their identity is healing, partially, but they're also dealing a lot of damage. They're also being the center of attention a lot of the time in the middle of a team fight, while also healing. It's layers above just an enchanter that's pressing a heal on somebody. So we tend to separate healing into 2 primary categories. The first category is for champions that have a majority of their power in healing and is tied to their gameplay identity. Aatrox, Soraka, Mundo, Red, Kayn, etc. These are core healers. The second category is where healing is included in the champion's kit, but not a primary source of power. Nami, Arik. I would say this is potentially where the problem in lies. I wish they didn't separate it like that. I really wish they separated it, like literally healing others versus healing themselves. I actually think that would be a healthier way to go about it, because healing others, I think, has been balanced for quite a while. Literally quite a while even before the durability update. I don't think healing others was a problem. It's healing self that's the bigger issue. And, you know, again, in the categories I've said, the 4 that they've named, Aatrox, Soraka, Mundo, Red, Kayn, Soraka is more about healing others than herself. Her identity is definitely healing. That's what she is. But yes, she can heal herself by landing a Q, and that's a skill shot. But her identity is about healing others. Aatrox heals himself. Dr. Mundo heals himself. Red Kayn heals himself. That's more the problem area. And then, you know, the other thing, Nami heals. She can heal herself, but she has, again, I know what they're saying, but she's not a healer. She can heal. Ari has sustain, wouldn't call it massively a heal. Aurelia has sustain, but a lot of the time is a bit beyond what it should be. But anyway, we'll refer to as incidental healers. So even if a champion is meant to heal a lot, how much is too much? On patch 12.13, some of these champions in the first category, so again, the problematic champions here, first category were healing so much that their intended counterplay doesn't work, even if their win rate is balanced. Let's look at Aatrox, for example. Oh, I wish they didn't do Aatrox. So you're kiting out Aatrox. He's missing half his spells. Then he activates Goredrinker with his passive and gets back to full health immediately. Yep. And again, literally, they're saying that example, which 100% happens with Aatrox, Kayn, etc. Yet they didn't do anything with Goredrinker. Like, what? Anyway, this probably feels off to most players. Aatrox is an example of a champion that has their gameplay identity directly tied to being a core healer. This is generally fine, but when they are still able to do it without being ahead, then something is off. This would spur us to align Aatrox's healing more closely with his intended counterplay. Example, more baseline durability but less healing, so when he continuously misses, he'll more likely die. But you can't miss Gore Drinker. That's the problem. I will say there is skill in Aatrox healing because he does have to land his abilities. But when you give something like a Gore Drinker, he just has to stand next to 1+ more champions. You're just giving them the healing. That's not skillful at all. And it's a lot of healing, as we all know. So I don't know. It sounds like Riot in some ways is definitely like agreeing that healing has been too much. And they've nerfed it recently. But then again, you can probably tell I don't like Gore Drinker. Even, you know, there are champions that they haven't even mentioned here. A non-healing champion like Graves is even buying Gore Drinker. You know, that's the point. They should have hit that item, but they didn't. Anyway, for incidental healers, when healing is a higher portion of the power budget than intended to create healthy gameplay for the kit, gameplay can begin to suffer. Let's look at Aurelia, for example. Yeah. She's intended to be a low moderate healer from her Q and itemization, because obviously she rushes Bork most of the time and even gets a shield bow, which has healing as well, and therefore should have a moderate lines on her W to mitigate damage. However, when she no longer needs to use W skillfully and can face tank and heal through opponents' damage, then that is an example of healing deteriorating gameplay. In these cases, we feel healing has gone too far. I agree. What makes balancing these cases tricky is that acceptable healing for healthy gameplay varies based on who you're asking. True. If you're asking, literally, this is one of the biggest problems with not just League, but like life, is whoever you ask is going to have a different opinion, and everyone has their personal biases. I don't play these champions. I see them healing like crazy, so therefore I'm going to have quite a critical opinion. But if you watching this right now are getting annoyed, I'd wager you're probably an Aatrox player or a Kayn player, maybe even playing Aurelia. You won't like to hear this. That's the point. You won't. No player wants to hear that their champion is actually too strong, because then in the back of your mind, it basically, a lot of the time for players, it makes them kind of go, maybe it was the champion that got me to that rating. It wasn't me. That's the point. People don't like to hear if their champion's a bit too strong or part of their champion has a bit too much strength. People do not like to hear it. It's their personal bias, which, again, I don't blame people for. We all have personal biases, but yeah. So Grievous Wounds, which again, for nerfing Grievous Wounds was, again, really weird to pretty much the whole player base. But anyway, in the same way that buying a chain vest against Zed does not guarantee you'll survive against his burst, you should not expect buying Grievous Wounds to mean that you win against these champions. No, I don't think people expect that. They just expect it to do something, which it doesn't a lot of the time. Which, again, 50% healing reduction on a lot of these champions that they've mentioned in this article is not enough healing reduction. That's how crazy the healing has been recently, as we all know. Anyway, so you should not blah, 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 win these champions, especially if they get ahead. True. Grievous Wounds was not designed to be purchased against only one heavy healer. Instead, we expect in majority of cases these champions should succeed and fail based on their inherent kit gameplay. E.g., finding flanks is intended to be easy against Soraka with her delayed hard CC and low 325 base movement speed. However, similar to buying armor against full AD comps, for every heavy healer on the enemy team, Grievous Wounds becomes more valuable. We intend to balance Grievous Wounds to be optimal when the enemy team has more than 2 heavy healers doing moderately well. Given the complexities of item-based decision-making, this calculus may change in-game, e.g. if the healing composition scales, it may be better to optimize for burst and try to end the game faster, but should be good at general to start with. Which, again, this is the problem. So there is, generally, when it comes to the argument of Grievous Wounds, there are that 2 philosophies. Do you buy Grievous Wounds? And a lot of these items, obviously, especially like Morel and Omicron and stuff like that, they're not great for damage output. You know, they're not going to do better than, hey, I'm going to go Death Cap instead. But a lot of the time, as a mage player, we buy it most games because we feel we have to. Because if we don't, the Kayn will take over, or the Aatrox will not die, or the Vladimir might not die. It's kind of like when you play against a Malzahar and you have to buy that QSS. It's the QSS tax. When you're against a lot of these champions, it's anti-healing tax. And especially it kind of sucks nowadays because they've even nerfed the percentage. It feels even worse that you have to buy anti-healing because it's not as good and you can't kill them anyway. So then the other philosophy that either, okay, I'm buying anti-healing, the other philosophy that some players go with is screw buying anti-healing because they've nerfed it anyway. It's not that good. A Kayn even being 50% healing reduced is still probably going to out-heal your damage in some cases. I'm just going to buy more damage. I'm just going to buy more burst. And maybe I can just kill the Kayn before he can out-heal me or before he can kill me. That's the other philosophy. The problem with that philosophy is that more worked before the durability update, which, by the way, I'm a big fan of the durability update. I do not want them to go back to what it was. It was terrible. But anyway, because the durability update, every champion is more durable, so burst is less effective. There is still burst in the game. Assassins can still one-shot people, but that's the point. Only fed mages, fed assassins can burst and completely one-shot people nowadays. You're not getting a bruiser casually one-shotting somebody because of the durability update. So if you're playing most top laners right now, you're not going to one-shot a Kayn. You know, even if you buy burst, you're not going to do that. So buying anti-healing makes more sense, and anti-healing has been nerfed. That's kind of the issue. So anyway, so Grievous Wounds exists as an outlet to prevent healing stacking being an uncounterable strategy. While we would prefer players didn't have to opt into Grievous Wounds item over others, more exciting options, it's a necessary mechanic to prevent a team of 5 healers resulting in a degeneration of League's gameplay. Starting in patch 12.14, we're taking down some of these outlier healing cases and will continue to adjust healing to be more in line with the designer and player expectations. As always, thanks for playing Xenos. I'm going to be honest, like, this hasn't really taught me much. It's basically Riot. It's weird. Like, they're nearly there. Like legit, they are nearly there. And the weirdest thing to me, the whole article, we mentioned it when I saw it, the weirdest thing is that we've just nerfed healing. We've only, like, again, Vladimir is not even mentioned in this, and I don't think he's crazy, but he is a identity healing champion. So they've mentioned some of the problematic champions. They also mention a specific example that a lot of players are talking about. This one right here is you're kiting an Aatrox. He's missing half of his spells. He then activates Gore Drinker, and with his passive, which also is percentage healing, he gets back to full health. They literally mention one of the biggest problems, and that, again, that's not just Aatrox, that's Graves, that's Kayn, and obviously the biggest outliers of that example is Aatrox and Kayn, because those champions have percentage-based healing off their damage done. So those two are the biggest, but that only works amazing because of Gore Drinker. If you outplay an Aatrox, you outplay a Kayn, you're weaving, you're dodging their abilities, great. They just have to get next to you and they press Gore Drinker and they will heal a lot. That's the problem, or one of the big ones. And they didn't nerf Gore Drinker. To me, that is just the weirdest thing in the world, because yes, they nerfed both of their percentage health healing, but you can still be outplaying them. You can still dodge everything that they're throwing at you, but they can just still press that button and heal a lot of health. We've all had it happen to us. So that's the thing. Riot is agreeing with, honestly, a lot what I'm even saying here. They're nearly on the way. They know it's a frustrating mechanic. Yes, I don't think healing should go away. As I've personally said, I think healing for the healing class of enchanters is completely fine. I think that's completely fair. Their identity is about healing others. That's fine. It's the champions that are healing themselves. They've even given the example later on of Aurelia. She's been a problem in the past, and she still has a lot of sustain now. That's the thing. Is like, it's Riot is, I don't know if they just didn't want to say it, but they're so close to kind of going, yeah, it's the champions that are healing themselves is the problem. That, again, I'm hoping we're not that far away from Riot kind of everything fully clicking and them kind of going, oh, we know what to do. Again, as I've said many times, Riot, the one thing that Riot does not want to do, and it's even evident with the durability update, Riot does not actually want to reduce damage. Even in the hey guys, we know the damage is crazy, they didn't turn damage down. They just made every champion slightly tankier. They hate the idea of making the damage lower. Champions like Aatrox, like Kayn, they do a lot of damage as bruiser champions, and their healing is based off percentage of their damage. So they are always going to do pretty well especially the higher rating you go, where the players become more competent as well. That's one thing that is sometimes lost a bit. And, you know, I hate to bring up the differences in rating sometimes, but that is a true thing. Is I'm right now in Master on EU West, the Kanes and the Aatroxes I face are very different to the average. And obviously, Riot nowadays, they do definitely try to balance the game as a general, rather than what they used to do years ago was balance top down. But yeah, maybe I'm just facing incredible Aatroxes and Kanes, and they're healing way more than everyone else. I don't know. But it is quite frustrating, I'll say that. To me, again, it's probably been obvious, but Kane is the biggest one for me personally. That's the biggest gripe. Because especially, they mentioned the champion earlier, like Yuumi, I think they mentioned maybe somewhere. But when you put a red Kane with Gore Drinker, with then a Yuumi on top of him, doesn't matter if you buy Grievous Wounds. You know, Riot here is saying, you know, 2 champions. You know, they want Grievous Wounds to be effective for more than 2 heavy healers doing moderately well. I've legitimately lost games of League where a Kane, red Kane, is feeding in the early game, the Yuumi's doing nothing, then eventually, like, level 7 happens, Yuumi abandons bot lane, jumps on the red Kane, and then he is unkillable. I've literally lost games that's happened. And Grievous Wounds doesn't do enough. But that is going to be it. Interesting topic. I'd like to hear your opinions on it, because healing is, I have found healing is quite a divisive topic within League of Legends. You know, right, even in this topic said, like, it just literally depends who you ask. So I am asking you, what do you think of healing? Do you agree with me that enchanter healing seems to be completely fine, and that's not what they should focus on? They should focus more on the I'm healing myself type of healing. I think that's more the issue. You know, even, you know, they went as far in this last patch to heal potions. I don't think healing potions was really what we were looking for. I don't think that fixes pretty much anything. That, to me, just is a bit weird. Like, that's Riot going, people are complaining about healing. Right, we're nerfing healing, but that's not what people were on about. I don't know. Let me know what you think. As always, this is a discussion video. We all love League of Legends. We're all very passionate about League of Legends, pretty much. Don't get too heated. I know people have their opinions, though, and I'd like to have cool discussions in the comments. Again, especially if you're an Aatrox or Kayn player. Like, do you think your healing is fine? That would be an interesting dynamic to me, because I don't play those champions. I just see those champions and I'm like, what the hell's going on there? Do you play them? Do you think they're fine? Let me know in the comment section below. So again, if you guys liked it, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys next time. Peace.
Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace. Restore our glory to live forever. Bring down the dark regime.